The end of Vamp School. The might of darkness. The night was alive with electricity. Thick clouds rolled across the sky as distant thunder rumbled, sending chills through the air. The ground beneath was cracked and uneven, a testament to the chaos that had been unleashed. At the center of it all stood Kylie and her loyal subordinates, Jack and Lucy, a trio of dark forces. Their mission to crush the heroic trio of Shud, Pubacious D, and Sardavian, who had been foolish enough to stand in their way. Kylie, her raven black hair cascading down her back like a shadow, surveyed the battlefield. The winds howled around her, echoing the tension in the air. Her eyes, cold and calculating, narrowed on the approaching heroes. Kylie, this will be fun. Let's show them what happens when you stand against true power. She raised her hand, and in response, a shimmering force field appeared around her, crackling with energy. Behind her, the ground shifted as a hulking, mechanical monstrosity. Frank emerged from the earth. The massive metal beast groaned, its red eyes glowing menacingly. With one hand, Kylie commanded it to stand at attention. Jack, standing at Kylie's side, let out a casual laugh, crackling arcs of electricity dancing from his fingertips. His power surged, sending bolts of lightning skittering across the broken landscape. Lucy, ever the silent sentinel, stood on the other side and saw a glimmer of icy blue light emanating from her hands as she conjured spikes of jagged ice that rose from the earth like sentinels guarding her. In the distance, Shud, the first of the heroes, began to march toward them, his body massive and muscular. His fists were clenched, ready to strike anything in his path with devastating force. Behind him, Pubacious D, the hair-wielding warrior, twirled his impossibly long locks around his fingers with a wicked grin. And at his feet, Sardavian, small yet slippery, began shifting in size, shrinking and expanding with every step. Shud, you three are in the wrong place at the wrong time. He raised a massive fist, flexing his muscles, ready to pummel anything in his way. Kylie smirked, unfazed. Come and try, Shud. See how your fists fare against a force you can't even comprehend. Jack, oh, I can't wait to zap that guy. He looks like he'd be fun to fry. Lucy, her eyes narrowed, stepped forward, the air around her growing cold. He'll freeze in his own tracks. You'll see. The battle began with a thunderous roar as Shud charged forward, his massive fists swinging at the ground with bone-shattering power. He aimed for Kylie, but before he could strike, her force field flared to life, absorbing the impact. The shockwave from his punch sent the ground around them rumbling, but Kylie stood firm, unaffected. Kylie, is that the best you've got, big guy? Shud's eyes widened in fury. He twisted his body and delivered a second, even more powerful punch. But before it could connect, Frank, Kylie's mechanical titan, charged forward. The massive creature swung its arm like a battering ram, meeting Shud's punch head-on. The resulting explosion of force shook the ground, sending both combatants tumbling back. Meanwhile, Pubacious D wasn't about to let the action go unnoticed. With a dramatic flick of his wrist, his hair swirled around him like a storm, lashes of thick, rope-like strands shooting out toward Lucy. His hair seemed to have a life of its own, whipping and snapping through the air with unnerving speed. Pubacious, let's see how well your little ice tricks fare against this. Lucy, undeterred, raised her hands to summon a massive wall of ice that shielded her from the onslaught of hair. The strands of Pubacious D's hair lashed against the ice, but Lucy's magic held steady. In a single motion, she flicked her wrist and sent a blast of icy wind crashing toward him, freezing his hair mid-swing. The strands stiffened, and Pubacious D yelped in surprise. Lucy, not so fast. She shot a glare at him, and then, as an added touch of flare, she caused the ice to spike up from the ground, forming sharp spires that rushed toward Pubacious D's feet. He was forced to leap back, but in doing so, he tripped over his own frozen hair, stumbling to the ground. Jack, meanwhile, had locked eyes with Sardavian, who was darting in and out of the battle, shrinking and expanding at will. He was quick, too quick. But Jack had a trick of his own. With a flick of his fingers, he called forth a storm of lightning, and with precise timing, he let loose a bolt that arced through the air, striking Sardavian mid-shrink. The bolt hit with such precision that it caused Sardavian to expand back to full size with a scream of pain. He collapsed to the ground, his body twitching from the electric shock. Jack, gotcha, you slippery little freak. The tides of battle were shifting in their favor. Shud was locked in combat with Frank, the two titans exchanging massive blows, each punch shaking the ground beneath them. Kylie, from the sidelines, raised her force field once more, sending a protective barrier around Lucy as she concentrated on freezing their foes' movements. Kylie, we've got them where we want them. She stepped forward, her voice filled with cold certainty. Jack, finish Sardavian. Lucy, make sure Pubacious D doesn't get back up. Jack, eager to deliver the final blow, summoned another surge of electricity, aiming directly at Sardavian. The small hero attempted to shrink again, but Jack's lightning was faster. The bolt hit him before he could react, sending his tiny body spasming before he finally went still. Lucy wasn't far behind. She conjured a thick wall of ice around Pubacious D, trapping him in a cold, unyielding prison. The hair that had been attacking them now lay motionless, frozen solid, unable to move. Pubacious D struggled against his icy cage, but the ice grew thicker with every movement he made, locking him in place. Kylie, and now, Shud. It's just you and me. Kylie stepped forward, her force field flickering with energy. She could see Shud still grappling with Frank, his muscles straining as he attempted to break free. The mechanical beast, however, was relentless, using its enormous hands to pummel the hero into the ground. The battle was nearly over. Shud, gritting his teeth, broke free of Frank's grasp with a mighty roar. His body surged forward, fists raised in defiance, but Kylie was prepared. With a simple thought, she created an impenetrable force field around herself, and as Shud's fists collided with the barrier, the shockwaves rippled through the air. Kylie, you're outmatched, Shud. Just accept it. With another command, Frank rose to his full height, and with one final crushing blow, the giant metal creature sent Shud crashing to the ground, immobilized. It's over. The battlefield fell silent. Their enemies lay defeated, battered, and frozen in place. Kylie, Jack, and Lucy stood triumphant, their dark powers undeniably superior. Kylie, we make a great team. Jack grinned, flexing his fingers as the last traces of lightning faded. Yeah, no one can take us down. Lucy nodded, her icy aura fading as she relaxed. Too easy. They didn't stand a chance. With their enemies vanquished, the trio of dark power bearers turned and walked away, leaving the battlefield behind. They had claimed their victory, and nothing could stop them now. Kylie, this world will bend to our will. No one can challenge us. And with that, the forces of evil, the true power, had claimed yet another triumph.